Hey guys, today we're going to be discussing World of Warcraft. I do apologize if it sounds like I'm sick. I am. So if you hear me kind of stop or have issues with my throat, that's kind of what it is. But today I want to talk about the community in World of Warcraft. It's how sensitive they appear to be. You can't make a simple observation without them getting completely defensive. And what I'm talking about specifically is this tweet from Taliesin. He talked about how good this year's been. So we'll just read the tweet real quick. Dragonflight, Wrath. He's talking about classic Wrath of the Lich King. Hardcore, Season of Discovery. Hard to over-exaggerate what a grade A 9-carat banger 2023 has been for WoW players. Now, he's not wrong. I never said he was wrong. When you look at where they came from with Shadowlands and how low of a low that was, the mid-expansion, I mean, let's face it, Dragonflight is a very safe mid-expansion. It's not a great expansion. It's not even a good expansion, in my opinion. It's only good in the sense that it's not Shadowlands, right? So I can understand a lot of people are going to like it. So when you look at where they came from with Shadowlands, it's very easy to see how this year would be considered a grade A 9-carat banger for them. Now, the point I made in response was I've never seen a game have to put so many variations out to satisfy its fan base. I don't know the details. I don't have the inside information. I don't have insiders or dev contacts that I talk to inside of Blizzard, inside of Microsoft or Activision. But I just made an observation. I find it funny, I guess, for lack of a better word, that a game that's been out for 20 years has had to come out with multiple variations over the last 5 years to continue to be successful. And people have issues acknowledging this. And I think the reason they've done it is if you look at over the course of WoW's history, they went from a subscriber base of 12 million back, I think, when Wrath of the Lich King initially released. I don't know what it's at now, specifically off the top of my head, but it's dropped significantly. It's down. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2 to 3 million at this point, which for an online game isn't bad. There's probably a lot of online games that would like to have that, but for WoW, that's horrible compared to what they did have. So when you go from a subscription fee of $12 to $15 a month with 12 million people down to 2 or 3 million, that's a lot of money you're missing, which is one of the reasons I think why they came out with a lot of these microtransactions that they've put into the game, such as the trading tenders, which was a recent addition, the store mounts, store pets, boost, race and class changes, stuff like that. There's a reason for it. Yes, some people wanted it, but Blizzard wanted the money. Trust me, they needed to make up for some of the money loss that they incurred through subscriptions kind of just going down, losing a lot of subscribers. So a lot of these different variations of the game just recently came out. Hardcore, Season of Discovery, Classic came out for a while, but they could only go so long with that. They came out with Classic Vanilla first, and then moved over to Classic Burning Crusade. Wrath was the last one they came out with. They're not going to do Cataclysm, I don't think. You can only go so far with Classic before you start running up into a lot of the issues that people had with retail. And you're not going to have the same versions of the game running on two different servers, essentially. You have retail and then Classic, but yet Classic is going to continue to release until it's a retail, and then you have two servers of retail. That makes no sense. So Classic was only going to go on for so long. Now, a lot of people were wanting Classic Plus, but that's kind of what Season of Discovery has turned into, which I think is actually pretty good. They've, for the moment, level capped Classic Vanilla to 25, I think it is, but they've added some things into the game, runes. They've redone a dungeon, like I think it's Black Fathoms Deep. I don't know all the details, just the details I do know. Looks really cool. Like I said, the Black Fathoms Deep dungeon was redone, I think, into a raid. So it is something I consider looking into. Maybe playing with the wife or something. Because I am still subscribed. We play retail right now. We're kind of leveling again. I don't really raid anymore. I'm old. Don't really, I'm 40 years old. Don't really care to stay up till 12, 1 o'clock at night raiding. So we're kind of just going through the level up process. I don't do Mythic Plus dungeons. Just trying to enjoy the casual, turn your brain off part of the game. My response, I thought, was middle of the road. I didn't think it was that negative. The first person to respond was Retribution Paladin here, talking about how, there are many games going for nearly 20 years or so, right? Smart ass. So that was kind of a very knee-jerk defensive response, I thought. So I basically said, look, man, no need to be so sensitive. I just stated a simple, observation. Now, to his credit, he came back and said, yeah, I was probably a little rough. He said, I got pointlessly passive-aggressive. So I give him credit there. He acknowledged that he came with that knee-jerk reaction a little too much, right? Now, I got response from the great Taliesin. Let's talk about him for a second. I watch a couple of streamers who are British. Preach, for one. I subscribe to him on Twitch. I love his YouTube videos. I started seeing Taliesin in some of his videos and streams for a while, but I really didn't pay a lot of attention to him because I didn't really care for just the way he came across at times with WoW stuff, until he started playing Baldur's Gate 3. So I watched him and his wife's streams, and I enjoyed it, but I don't know what it is about Tally. He, his whole demeanor, the way I'm not trying to attack the guy personally. I don't have an issue with the guy. He's probably a very nice guy. But just to me, his whole demeanor could be a British thing, but I kind of think not, because Preach doesn't come across the same way. But his whole demeanor and the way he responds sometimes to people who may not agree with him, who might have a different approach or a different thought, he's almost like a very, a prick. He strikes me as somebody who's a very nice guy until you disagree or say something he doesn't like, and then he turns into the biggest prick, biggest asshole you've ever seen. And it's almost like you can see it bubbling up on the surface in some of his streams. And he's hiding it behind a very forced smile. When I was watching his Baldur's Gate 3 streams, I waited for it to come out. I could tell, I'm like, dude, you look like you're about to lose it. And to his credit, he never did. But like I said, this is my own personal observation. I could be wrong. It could be how he is, and maybe I'm misreading it because, again, I don't know the guy. All I can say is I don't think it's a British thing because I watch Preach. Preach doesn't come across that way at all. He comes across as a very genuine individual. I'm sure they curse different than we do, but that's not playing into this at all. So, with that said, he comes into this and basically says, yeah, man, Pringles has so many flavors because everyone hates Pringles. That's how it works. One, comparing this whole discussion to Pringles, I thought was kind of stupid. At the same time, I would imagine the people who came out with Pringles and decided to go with these different flavors of Pringles probably did so because, they knew people might prefer a different flavor because they might not like the original Pringles. So I'm not sure he's making the point that he thinks he's making here. It's like soda or pop, whatever you call it, soda pop. Some people like Mountain Dew. Some people don't. And guess what? If they don't like Mountain Dew, what did Pepsi do? Pepsi came out with other brands. They initially started with Pepsi. Then they got Diet Pepsi. They got Mountain Dew. They got all these different brands under different drinks underneath the Pepsi brand. Why do you think they did that, Tally? Did they do that because everybody loves Pepsi? No. They did it because not everybody does, and they wanted to increase or boost the amount of people buying their product. It's the same thing here with World of Warcraft. They realized they're in a boat that was sinking. Shadowlands was horrible. They were losing subscribers hand over hand. They were losing money at the same rate they were losing subscribers. So they needed to do something. And look, I gave them credit. My response to some of these people, this one guy is like, look, probably due to the fact that many people love the world, but like to enjoy it in a myriad of different ways. Kudos to Blizzard for being able to cater to so many, in my opinion. And I said, look, I completely agree. Them listening to the fans on this one occasion, mind you, with classic/hardcore has saved their game, in my opinion. It's extended the life of their game. They like I said, they were slowly dying. They were losing money, losing subscribers. Shadowlands almost destroyed it. And I do think Shadowlands created a lot of damage to the brand. It did irreparable harm to the game. I really do. I think it lost a lot of people that will not come back. And I think some of these streamers have seen that too. Like Preach has seen that with some of his fan base. They watch Preach play whatever. He's a multi-game streamer now. And he's consistently pulling in the viewership on Twitch and YouTube. Because of him, not because of the game. So he has seen this. He's talked to his Twitch stream about Twitch community about this, and how a lot of them just kind of have apathy for the game now. I think Shadowlands and the way Blizzard, when I say Shadowlands, I mean everything that happened during that time, not just the expansion itself, but the company, the scandals, how the company responded to the players, stuff like that. I'm including all of that. I think it did irreparable harm. And so I'm not trying to come at this from a negative position. That's why I said I agree with this guy. I think they saved or extended the life of their game by listening to their fans on this occasion. Now, another guy did respond. He's not wrong. I think it's Game Orc. He's not wrong. More options for different play. I agree. In the same base game. A flat-out win. And it is. Now, he's acting like I might have issues with, I guess, having all these different versions. I don't. He said if it's still tough to swallow, just consider them mods. I'm like, no, I don't. I respond with, look, I'm just acknowledging that this appears to be done out of necessity. And it was. If anybody sits down here and looks at World of Warcraft and can't acknowledge that these different variations of the game has been put out by Blizzard due to necessity, they're either lying to you because they're a shill, and it's sunk cost fallacy. They can't admit it. They've been doing it for so long, or they're just stupid. I mean, it's that simple. The game was dying, and a lot of the players they were losing didn't like the current retail version of the game, and that's true. That's very true. I don't personally have an issue with them doing this. I applaud them for it. Good on them for listening to their fans this time around. I just pointed out that it speaks volumes about the current state of the game, that they felt like they needed to do this, and how unusual it is. And to me, it is unusual. I don't know of any other game, especially an online game like this, that has to release all these different various versions of the game to keep its fan base happy. I really don't know. Now, if there are other games out there, feel free to point out in the chat down below in the comments section. But for right now, I can't think of one. There's not another game out there similar to World of Warcraft or in that same vein that has had to do this. And as I said before, it's clear as day why they've had to do this. And to be unable to acknowledge that fact, I think says a lot about the individual and how you view the game. And it's not a healthy viewpoint, in my opinion. This, of course, is coming from someone who doesn't have the inside numbers, which I don't, and I am making some assumptions, which I am. However, to say this is like a potato chip flavor is ignoring the obvious, but it's not surprising when I see the source. And the reason I say this is, like I said, my viewpoint on Talius. I think he's a really positive guy on WoW to the point he's what you would call a shill. Potential. I'm not saying that's what he is. I'm comparing him to what I view as a shill. Someone who will come out and hype something up and be positive about it regardless of whether it's trash or not. Regardless of how negative things may be about this specific product or game or what. I mean, we see this with movies all the time. People that work for that company, people who have stake in the movie being successful will come out and will prop it up and talk about how it's the best movie ever. You saw this with James Gunn and The Flash. He came out and said it was the best superhero movie he's ever seen. Everybody go watch it. It was garbage. it failed miserably and lost a whole lot of money at the theater because it was garbage. Not to mention the fact that he already said, hey, he's killing that universe. So the movie didn't really matter to begin with. But that's another discussion for another day. So that's kind of what I'm saying. I view Taliesin as something like that. He's too positive about the game. He can't acknowledge some of the, at least from what I've seen. I don't listen to his content all the time, so I could be wrong. Now, if I am, and as far as you acknowledging the negatives of World of Warcraft and how some people have legit problems with the game, I apologize. But that's not what I see when I have looked at your tweets, because I don't watch all your videos. And your response here signals, it just kind of solidifies my opinion of how you deal with World of Warcraft. You can't acknowledge that, yeah, hey, it's not usual, yes, but they did it because they needed to and it saved the game. That's true. But he can't acknowledge that. He just wants to treat it like Pringles. Yeah, it's not because people hate the game. I never said anything about people hating the game. He's just like, it's like Pringles. They come out with it because everybody doesn't like Pringles. All these different, you saw his tweet. When in reality, that is kind of true. A brand comes out with different versions of its product because not everybody likes the original product. People have different flavors. That's just the way it is. So his tweet I didn't like the comparison initially with potato chips, but at the same time, kind of hit the nail on the head, and not in the way that he thought. It kind of backed my argument up more so than it made his. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say in this video today, really. Look, no hate towards Taliesin at all. He's probably the nicest guy. I don't really, I've already said what I said, but, like I said just a second ago, no hate. It's not everybody has to like everybody. As long as you don't actively generate hate or harm towards a guy, there's no problem with that. He can dislike me all he wants, but I respect him for what he does. He works hard. He's got a family to provide for, and hey, more power to him. I respect that. Yeah, but this is my thought. I think the WoW community, and you can say this about probably any gaming community, to be honest with you, especially even comics. It's crazy. If it's on Twitter, it's toxic, right? But they're a little sensitive. The WoW community is. I mean, my tweet in no way, shape, or form was meant to be negative. It didn't say anything negative about the game. People took it that way because they have a knee-jerk reaction to think if someone says anything and it's not glowingly praising the game, that it's got to be a negative tweet or a negative comment, and it wasn't. So, yeah, that's my video for today. Sorry, sometimes I ramble. I don't have a script for these things. I just kind of talk. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later.